In America, public transportation is seriously lacking in several departments. In the US, 77% of Americans drive alone to work. This is a huge number compared to other countries, and countries, for instance, like Germany, have way lower numbers. In countries like Germany, this number is drastically lower. Public transportation projects such as bullet trains in the USA are often never completed, they're riddled with debt, and are used solely for political capital. For instance, in California, Governor Jerry Brown tried his last 2 terms to get the bullet train started, and it is yet to even begin construction. In America, lack of faith in government and public services has led to private sector growth instead of the public sector, and investment to infrastructure is no longer a priority. The United States is one of the only first world countries left to be without construction of a major public service project such as a high-speed bullet train. And this is severely hurting America's ability. And this is severely hurting commuters all over the country. Times are changing though, and millennials prefer public transport these days over cars. For instance, buses, streetcars, trains are all becoming, for instance, in cities, buses, trains, streetcars, they're all becoming a higher priority rather than owning a car, rather than leasing a car, having insurance, having to pay for expensive gas. These are all things that millennials are not willing to pay for, and they're actually not even getting driver's licenses and registering cars and driving around, and instead using apps such as Lyft or Uber or scooters, rentable scooters that are available across the country at this point. And it's sort of changing the way that Americans are driving to work, driving around to social events, interacting with their peers, and it's changing the landscape of the country. And America's public transportation is also highly political, and it's very polarized. And it's not like this in most of the, in America, public transportation is a highly polarized issue, and it's not like this in most of the rest of the world. So with the drastic differences in Republicans and Democrats in the United States, it sort of splits the country in two, and public transport has become one of these partisan issues up there with gay marriage and the legalization of marijuana, where in countries such as Germany, England, Sweden, even China, these aren't partisan issues. These are issues that are looked upon as maybe, okay, the spending isn't as high for conservatives, and they disagree with other parties on how the spending should be instituted, but they still So in America, this issue is also highly polarized, and it's very unpolitical. So in nations such as Germany or the UK or Sweden or like Switzerland, there's a debate about public transportation, but it's not as political as it is here in the United States. Now, they may disagree, for instance, in Germany, how to spend this money, how much should get spent, what projects should be built. But in the US, the conversation isn't even really mentioned or even brought to the forefront of the country's debate. It's more so conservatives viewing this as sort of a social welfare program. Democrats are pro-infrastructure, pro-transport, pro-public transportation, and the expansion of this for the country, and conservatives are mostly against it. They view it as a social welfare program for poor people who lack cars, and they don't view it as a way of life. Now, they just view it as, oh, these people are poor. It's a welfare program, something similar to food stamps. Whereas in Germany, it's more of a way of life. It's better for the economy. It's better for the environment. And it's looked upon not as a bad thing, but as something that we can invest in and something that we can expand on, and that would be good for the country's future. Transport is a huge consumer of energy, and because of this, it uses most of the world's petroleum. The causes of this are air pollution, nitrous oxide, and it's an enormous factor in the climate change crisis. This form of transport, in particular, what we're talking about, automobiles, is the largest contributor to global warming. The good news is public transportation benefits everybody, including the people not using it, by reducing energy consumption and greenhouse gases, not only in the country where it's located, but all across the world. Only 9% of the buses in the US used alternative fuels in the year 2000, and by 2009, that number increased by 29%. If the United States were to implement such ideas of greener public transport and put such prospects like California's bullet train to the front lines, the impacts would be phenomenal for the economy. It would create jobs, it would invest, and it would also look towards the future, to where we move away from these fuels and the oil and the gas industry, and we look more towards a greener, safer sort of fuel for the environment. And travel times would be vastly decreased. The environment would prosper from this. It would also increase job growth. It would expand the economy. So we have to look forward. Public transportation should not be such a partisan issue, but one that we can all look towards in hoping improving our quality of life. So that's why America should invest in these ideas, and that's what we could learn from the German model, and hope to implement here at home, and not look at it as such a right-wing or left-wing issue, but look at it as an American issue and how we can improve the quality of life for everybody here, and not just depending on what side you lean on. Thank you.